I open the Bernards Township Committee meeting for March 11, 2025. Please stand for the flag salute.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is the mayor's opening statement. Adequate notice of this meeting was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, 1 Collar Lane, Basking Ridge, on the township website and emailed to the Bernardsville News Whippany, the Courier News Bridgewater, tapinto.net, patch.com, and filed with the township clerk on December 18, 2024. Any motion to go into closed session will include that matter discussed at such closed session will be disclosed to the public when such matters are finally determined, and there's no further reason to prohibit the public from disclosure of information related to such matters. No new business will be introduced after 10:30 p.m. Public comments will be accepted at all meetings. Speaker is limited to 5 minutes each. All meetings will adjourn no later than 11:30 p.m. Roll call, Christie.
Ms. Acey?
Here.
Ms. Duarte McCarthy?
Here.
Mr. McNally?
Here.
Mayor Fields?
Here.
And Mr. Tancredi is excused this evening.
Executive session, Christie.
None this evening, Mayor.
Next is our resolution 2025-0170, recognizing March as the Developmental Disability Month. This Development Disability Awareness Month, which is a time to raise awareness, promote inclusivity, and celebrate the ability and achievements of individuals with developmental disabilities. This month serves as an opportunity to support those in our community with disabilities by helping them reach their full potential. Our first step should be to take this opportunity to challenge misconceptions, educate, and encourage integration of individuals with developmental disabilities into all aspects of life, and especially our community. Let us continue to work together to create a more inclusive world where people of all abilities are valued, respected, and empowered to thrive. During this month, I would like to acknowledge Eric Lee. His mom, Lily. Lily, are you with us?
Yes.
Hi, Lily. Lily sent us an email letting us know that her son, Eric Lee, who recently won an achievement award, always willing to lend a helping hand to peers and staff for Our House, the service provider that runs his day program, Volunteer Action Program. Eric has been selected to participate in the New Jersey Transit Autism Acceptance Month event, where he will be recording public service announcements to be played during April Autism Acceptance Month at the New Jersey Transit on the New Jersey Transit trains. He has also become an accomplished home chef since the pandemic, and he has also helped his mother make many beautiful and delicious international dishes. His artwork has been published in Tickled Green, the Therapies for Abuse and Special Needs Children. Congratulations, Eric. So as we support and acknowledge Development Disability Awareness Month, I would like to say thank you so much to those that are here tonight to help us recognize it. And would my colleagues like to say something before we pass the resolution and present it?
Sure. Yes, so first and foremost, thank you all for being here tonight. These recognition months have always been to foster awareness around both the opportunities and also the challenges that persist in society for various and distinct communities. I think it's wonderful that we are recognizing March as Development and Intellectual Disabilities Month. There is good work that's been going on in the community, not only from organizations such as Our House that Mayor mentioned, locally within our schools, and certainly within organizations like Parents for Exceptional Children, and most importantly from individuals themselves with disabilities and their parents and friends who are advocates. We're also living in a challenging time where, as example, Congress is reviewing right now the potential dismantling of the Department of Education, which potentially could impact the distribution of funding at the state level, as well as protection on the civil rights of students with disabilities. So to that extent, we hope that this type of awareness and education around the community will help to continue to foster advocacy, and that we celebrate the progress that's been made while continuing to have inclusion in our community. So thank you.
I too would like to join my colleagues in being pleased to pass this resolution raising awareness for people with developmental disabilities and send a message that you make up a key part of our community, and we celebrate your achievements, and I'm happy we're doing this resolution. Thank you, Mayor.
Jen?
Sure. We're very lucky within our community that we have wonderful organizations that serve this community. And it's really important that they have a voice and that we recognize that they are an inclusive part of our community and that we are able to enable them to live as they can. So that is ensuring that they have the opportunities that everyone able-bodied is as well. And that includes opportunities for community involvement, and even all the way to perhaps housing. So I think it's really important that we recognize not only developmental disabilities, but intellectual disabilities as well. And I'm grateful that I believe also the governor marked March as this month as well. So I'm glad that we are all aligned, and I'm grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
I'll move the resolution.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have a resolution to present. So we invited a couple parents. I know, Lily, you're here. Would you like to come up? Any other parents would like to come up and receive the resolution? We can go down together. Present the resolution. Thank you. Next is Resolution 2025-0141, recognition of Girl Scout Week, March 9th to the 15th. Tonight we are honored to recognize Girl Scout Week. It is the time to celebrate the rich history, empowering values, remarkable achievements of the Girl Scout organization. Each year this week is a reminder of how Girl Scouts inspire young girls to dream big, lead in courage, and make a positive impact in their communities. As we reflect on the transformative experiences Girl Scouts provide, we honor the leadership, the sisterhood, and the resilience that have shaped generations of girls and women. Girl Scout Week is not only a celebration of past accomplishment, but also an opportunity to reaffirm our commitment to fostering the next generation of confident, passionate, and empowered leaders. I'd also like to say there's a few of us up here that are proud Girl Scouts. Worker Girl Scouts, and definitely shaped and molded who we are today and to be leaders in our community, and we wish that for all of you. So proud to celebrate Girl Scout Week. And any of my colleagues would like to say something?
January 1st.
Sure. So I am one of those proud Girl Scouts. My oldest daughter was a Gold Award winner, and I currently have a cadet. So I'm going to use this moment just to put in a plug that many of these awesome Girl Scouts are also hustling cookies. So cookies are in, and we did some booth sales last weekend, and we're going to do them again this weekend. So please come out and support all these wonderful young women and the skills that they're getting through that. So thank you.
So I'll follow with that. I also was a scout. I achieved up to cadet, and then my mother kicked us out of the troop. I was well, Mom's not here, but that's true. I loved earning badges, and the camping trips and hiking and setting up a tent and cooking over a fire. Those are phenomenal memories. And You know, when I reflect back on the founding of the Girl Scouts, it's everything around unlocking our potential and raising our confidence. So I look very proudly at all of you. It was one of the wonderful formative experiences in my life. And I think it's very apropos here in Women's History Month, where we're celebrating women, to celebrate all of you and our Girl Scouts. So thank you.
So I wasn't a Girl Scout, but I was a Boy Scout. And, you know, I'd just like to thank all the Scouts, including those who were celebrated with the next resolution, you know, achieving their silver and gold awards. And just commend, you know, the Scoutmasters, the parents, and the Scouts themselves for their dedication to Scouting. You know, the skills that you learn over the course of your Scouting career will remain with you for the rest of your life and make you better citizens, better leaders as you move forward. And there's no substitute for the Scouts, so congratulations to all.
Can I have a motion?
I make a motion. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations, ladies. Should I just go into the next one? Okay, because they're here. Next resolution is 2025-0142. Accommodation on attaining silver and gold awards for the Girl Scouts USA. We want to extend our special congratulations to the Girl Scouts who have earned the prestigious Gold and Silver Awards. These awards represent the highest achievement in Girl Scouting and require a tremendous commitment to leadership, service, and making a lasting difference in the community. The Gold Award is the highest honor a Girl Scout can achieve, requiring a significant service project that addresses a local or global issue with sustainable solutions. Those who earn this distinction join a remarkable group of young women who are making a difference in the world. The Silver Award is another remarkable accomplishment, demonstrating a strong commitment to community service and leadership. These projects showcase the creativity and dedication of our Girl Scouts as they work to improve the lives of others. To all the recipients, your hard work, determination, and commitment to service are inspiring. You have set a wonderful example for others to follow, and we are incredibly proud of your achievement. I want to thank the leaders, their mentors, their families, who have supported these young women on their journey. Your guidance and encouragement has helped shape the next generation of leaders. The Gold Award, Sophia Minasina. No, I'm not going to say everybody's name wrong, sorry. Emma Pavlik, Gold Award. Silver Award, Carolyn Zugal. Madeline Demzaksky. Vivian Cash, Gracie Geary, Sophia McDonald, Lucy Perks, and Jeannie Neck, and Kathleen Steele. And my apology if I say everybody's wrong, but I want to say, ladies, congratulations on your Gold and Silver Award. What an accomplishment. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations. We're going to have present you with the resolution down below with all the Girl Scouts. So congratulations. Marissa, I know Marissa wanted to come up and say a few words. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Marissa Steele, and along with Barbara Geary, we are the service unit managers for the Girl Scouts of Basking Ridge, like the Scout Masters and Boy Scouts. We just wanted to thank you sincerely for recognizing all of our scouts and volunteers tonight. It really means a lot to us to have the support of the Township Committee for our program. We are tremendously proud of how the Basking Ridge Girl Scouts have demonstrated kindness and respect and leadership within our community. We would also like to extend our congratulations to those scouts who have earned the Silver and Gold Awards this year. I just wanted to point out a couple things about those awards. The Silver Award, which can be earned by scouts in grades 6 through 8, requires a commitment of at least 50 hours on the project. And ultimately, only 10% of all Girl Scouts in this country earn the Silver Award. So it really is a tremendous accomplishment for these young ladies. The Gold Award requires high school age scouts to commit at least 80 hours to their projects. And Gold Award projects often represent years of extensive planning, problem solving, and perseverance. Fewer than 6% of Girl Scouts in the U.S. earn the Gold Award. So it really is a tremendous accomplishment, and we are very proud of these girls. We also all know that our students are incredibly busy. These Girl Scouts are no exception. They have all reached these high achievements of Silver and Gold Awards while going to school, participating in competitive sports, music programs, other extracurriculars, just like their peers. Earning the Silver and Gold Award is a testament to a Girl Scout's ability to lead, take initiative, and make a lasting difference in our community, and we thank you for recognizing their very hard work. So, congratulations.
Resolution 2025-0156, recognizing Ridge Youth Sports, Inc. Senior Rec Competition Cheerleaders Team's first place win at the 2025 World Cheerleading Competition in the 12U division, first place for the highest score of the season. The team's remarkable first place victory in the 12U division, where they not only claimed the top spot, but also earned the highest score of the entire season. Their hard work, dedication, and team spirit led them to achieve a remarkable first place finish, highlighting their skills, precision, and passion. This victory not only highlights their talent, but also the staunch support and encouragement from their coaches, families, and our community. We are incredibly proud of their achievement and excited to see them continue their success and growth, since they are such talented young ladies in cheerleading and beyond. This is the shining example of what can be accomplished through teamwork, which most important is teamwork, perseverance, and commitment to excellency. We extend our heartfelt congratulations to each team member, their coaches, and their families for this remarkable achievement. Congratulations, and we are so looking forward to having the banner and letting all the town know, letting the town know downtown your incredible accomplishment. And I just want to say congratulations. I know cheerleading is a big deal, and to win this competition is just extraordinary, and we're so proud that you're bringing it home to our town. And again, congratulations, and thank you. And thank you especially to the parents who dedicate so much time and so much energy and traveling and being devoted. And really, you know, the thing is, as a parent, you want to see your child succeed and make them happy. And so you're doing that, and I just want to commend you for that and let you know that as they get older, they'll look back and say, boy, my mom or dad or both, went to each competition and was there for me, and that's makes a difference in their life in the future. So thank you and congratulations. Would any of my colleagues like to say something?
Sure. First of all, congratulations. This is an extraordinary accomplishment. And I was thinking about everything that Janice said. At one point, 3 of my neighbors, their kids were competition cheerleaders. And just going through, some of them had injuries. All of this, Janice said, the challenges for the families to get you there, to support you, your coaches, and then to be able to have such a huge accomplishment has to be incredibly satisfying, but it takes a lot to get there. It takes a lot of grit, it takes a lot of tears, and it takes real, I want to say it's a sisterhood because you're supporting each other and you're as happy for yourself, you're happy for your team. And you're going to carry that with you always. So it's with deep congratulations to all of you, to everyone involved. And I hope that you take this forward for it. Congratulations again. Andrew?
Yeah, so there's not much more that I can add than my colleagues have said, except to say it never ceases to amaze me, what tremendous talent, our community produces. And the cheerleading team is by no means an exception. And, it's remarkable that, when they say this is like the world championship here, it's not like the World Series where it's just basically Americans playing against. They were literally competing against, foreign nations in this. So this is an extraordinary achievement. I wanted to thank the entire coaching staff and parents, and of course, the cheerleaders themselves for this tremendous achievement. You have a lot to be proud of. Thank you.
So I just want to say congratulations. And I was able to watch because I'm connected. I know some of you girls, and some of your parents were very generous in sharing some of the posts of all of the accomplishments as you were progressing. So wonderful job. Congratulations. I just continue to look forward to seeing what you do next year. Keep up the great work, ladies.
So I'd like to also thank Jody for letting us know about the win, and I don't know if she's here. Is Jody here? Would you like to come up and say a few words, or would somebody like to come up and say a few words? You're more than welcome. Coach Kim. Or Kim, would somebody like to come up and say something?
I was not prepared.
It could be short and sweet.
It's short and sweet, yeah. We are just so proud of these girls because it was, blood, sweat, tears, as you mentioned, to get there, and just to show them that hard work does really pay off. And it was really cool to compete against Canada, China, Japan, Mexico, Costa Rica, who else? I don't remember. It was just it was an experience, and we're so proud of the girls. So thank you very much for recognizing them, and we appreciate the banner is just going to be the icing on the cake. We're so excited. So thank you for making that happen.
Of course. And
Okay.
congratulations again. We're going to come up to cheerleaders and take a picture with everybody.
I think the committee's gonna stay.
Go in the and duck. And me. Like that. Yeah.
Some space right here. There you go. Perfect. Sorry.
I'm going to come down. We have
I think so.
Thanks again, ladies.
Thank you.
So one last thing, we have to pass the resolution. Can I have a motion?
So moved?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations. Now, this concludes the fun part of the meeting, which is the resolutions. Now it's on to business, so you're welcome to go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Oh, no, it's, okay, I got it right here. Okay, thank you. Okay. Next, public work session, Christie?
None this evening, Mayor.
Correspondence?
None this evening.
Next is public comments. Comments are welcome during the public comment period during this meeting on any agenda item or other matters over which the Township Committee has jurisdiction. However, if an ordinance is listed for its own public hearing on the agenda, please hold your comment for that particular public hearing. The public comment portion of the agenda is not structured as a question and answer session, but offers an opportunity to share your thoughts with the Township Committee. The committee may or may not address these comments during the meeting. However, all comments are considered. To address the body, the speaker must come forward to the microphone, state his or her name, and address for the record. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes. The clerk will keep time. Please promptly yield the floor when the time is called and return to your seat.
Sorry, I have a question. If I want to comment on E and G, do I wait or do I come up now?
Now,
Okay.
I just have to finish. Your
I'm sorry.
Your cooperation and adherence to these rules of order will ensure an orderly and respectful meeting. I open public comment.
Thanks.
Sorry about that.
Deborah
Had to
D.
find
White,
the page.
140 Spencer Road. At the end of January, I stood before you with concern. We have until the end of June to make decisions that will affect our town for the next 10 years and beyond. In my opinion, careful planning for this should be a top, if not the top priority for the TC in the first half of 2025. Per the Round 4 AH methodology, challengers had until the end of February to voice their objections. I understand that the New Jersey Builders Association has initiated lawsuits against 159 towns for proposing revised, lower numbers, and I know that that includes us. I also understand that Fair Share Housing has filed their own challenge against 68 of those 159 towns, and I'm wondering if that number is being challenged by Fair Share Housing Center. And I'm wondering what our response has been. I'm also wondering what any of you have done, if anything, to support S4065, which is the bill being sponsored by Senators Bucco, Corrado, and Henry, to adjust the method of determining regional need for affordable housing. As you know, I did send my support for that, and I hope that you will as well if you haven't already. So that brings me to the ordinances on the agenda for tonight, items E and G. 50% of our obligation has to be dedicated to families. Up to 30% of our obligation can be dedicated to age-restricted or senior housing, and 20% can be dedicated to special needs housing. The senior housing and special needs housing is particularly important because A, it is desperately needed, B, we get bonus credits for them, and C, it doesn't add children to our already taxed school district and budget, which is surely to drive up our taxes. Are we planning for 171 units of affordable housing, or what is the number that we're planning toward? What I see in Ordinance E is 29 units at Ridge Oak, of which we can only count 25 units, equating to 50 bonus units towards our AH. So we have an additional 4 units there that can't count. What I see in Ordinance G is 115 units of AH at Westgate, when only 86 is necessary for the 50% family set aside. That difference of 29 units is bringing with it an additional 120 market rate units. How is this good for Bernards Township? 574 units of housing at Westgate with 280 units of already committed housing next door is what I would call overdevelopment. And where is the special needs housing that everyone acknowledged was needed last December when the Verizon proposal was shot down? Items E and G together don't make up 171 units or 218 units if we don't know what else is coming. In conclusion, what is our goal here? I would assume it's to build the least number of high-density housing as necessary while complying with the law. Is our number 218 or 171? Can we drive it lower? 6 weeks ago, I strongly encouraged you to investigate participating in the Highlands Act. I believe it might protect us from overdevelopment now and in the future. We even received a $15,000 grant from the New Jersey Highlands Water Protection and Planning Council in September of last year for the purpose of completion of the 2024 Plan Conformance Initial Assessment. What has been done to date on that? Don't you want to see if we can further reduce our obligation and the overdevelopment that comes with it? We need thoughtful and careful planning. This just doesn't feel like that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the Town Committee. My name is Matt Majewski, and I'm a 10-year resident of Bernards Township living at 195 Mountain Road. My children currently attend LCS and WAMS. I come before you today to express my grave concerns regarding your proposed change in Ordinance Number 2575, the proposal to amend the land development overlay for Westgate Village. While I strongly support the need for affordable housing in our community, I believe the size of the proposed development at this location is not in the best interest of our neighborhood or the town as a whole. I ask that you consider the following 7 points before moving forward with this plan. Number 1, strain on existing infrastructure. Our neighborhood is in the midst of a massive expansion already with the development of the residences at Mountain View. For those who are unaware, this is a 280-unit complex set on 70 acres of Mountain View Road, which intersects with Martinsville Road. 62 of those units are affordable housing. The addition of further housing in the same area will place an undue stress on our already overburdened infrastructure. To add to this, Warren Township continues to develop in that same area with a new housing development across the street from Westgate and a new Federal Reserve Bank cash processing facility set to also be developed on Mountain View Road. Traffic congestion in that area is an issue today, with traffic backing up at rush hour on Martinsville Road from Mountain Road all the way to 78. And this is before the completion of the residences or the projects within Warren Township. LCS School is already over capacity, and this massive development combined with the residences will push it well beyond the its capacity limits. Have appropriate studies been conducted to ensure our roads and schools can handle this capacity? Have those studies appropriately considered the not yet realized impact of the residences? Number 2, saturation of new development. We must ask whether this neighborhood has already contributed to its fair share of continued development in the name of affordable housing to the township. It is crucial that affordable housing is distributed throughout Bernards Township in a balanced manner, ensuring that all areas of the town contribute to this important goal. Continuing to concentrate affordable housing in one specific area can lead to an overload of residences in a single neighborhood, which may unintentionally create social and economic challenges for both new and existing residents. A more even distribution of these affordable housing is necessary to foster an inclusive and thriving community. Number 3, density of this new proposal. The new proposed project is a mix of commercial uses and inclusionary family rental apartments comprised of 574 apartments, a hotel or extended stay hotel, which may include conference facilities, event spaces, and corporate suites, and 20,000 square feet of retail and other permitted non-hotel, non-residential uses set on 30 acres with up to 80% impervious coverage. Only 115 of the apartments are considered affordable housing, constituting the 20% set aside per the Fair Share Housing Center within a lot that is half the size of the residences. Further, the ratio of affordable units to market rate units for Westgate is worse than that of the residents of Mountain View. While my sense is that a development of this size would be highly detrimental to our neighborhood, I must also wonder if the town has done any negotiating with the developers on behalf of the town to maximize the benefit to the town. What is the benefit to our town for this development in this area? Number 4, community character. It is a concern of ours that high-density developments in a concentrated area could change the character of our neighborhood. We should be mindful of preserving the unique charm and livability that makes Bernard Township a desirable place to live. The addition of significant housing in one specific area can alter a neighborhood's balance and aesthetic appeal, which is important to many of the residents that live in that area. Number 5, environmental impacts. This brings me to the scar on our wooded landscape that this 150-room hotel and 20,000 square foot of retail space will cause. My understanding is that this development could rise to 70 feet tall, which would be the tallest building in our township. How many trees will be removed without an opportunity replacement? What wildlife will be displaced? And with 80% impervious coverage, how will the town be dealing with the stormwater runoff and inevitable flooding during the next 100-year storm, which seems to be happening every other year? It is a cause for alarm and pause. Why are we making so many exceptions to our building philosophy with this one development? Number 6, proposed alternatives. I understand that affordable housing is a critical and legal need, and I only have a layman's understanding of the rules. But I do understand that different types of housing can offer more credits to us. Has the town appropriately considered these multipliers? Especially as you all stand up here for your photo opportunity of Developmental Awareness Month, have we considered, particularly after the December meeting when we all stood in alignment that more needed to be done for these special needs residents, that we're not doing anything with this development? Further, my understanding is that many neighboring towns are joining Highlands Preservation Area. While this would potentially limit some residents' options for subdividing their land, it would also alleviate a significant portion of our affordable housing burden. Has this been adequately considered by our town? Point 7, long-term vision for Bernards Township. Finally, I encourage the committee to think about the long-term impact of the proposal. We need to balance growth and development with the preservation of what makes Bernards Township a great place to live.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lily Yip, and I reside at 39 Sentinel Drive in Basking Ridge, New Jersey. I am here to remind the Township Committee that in the December 2024 and January 2025 meetings, that there was a lot of support for including the special needs community when dealing with the state mandate on affordable housing. It is my understanding that 20% out of the affordable housing can be used for special needs housing, as well as getting the additional tax credits. So we were disappointed when we learned that there were 0 plans for special needs housing in this proposed plan. How was this decision made, and how does the committee weigh in on public comments in their decision? Thank you for your attention to this matter and for your continued commitment to the well-being of all residents. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Judy Whitaker, and I live at 11 Castle Way, Basking Ridge. I'd like to thank the Bernards Township community for their resolution recognizing March as Developmental Disabilities Month. I'm happy to say that our town council had a head start prior to this national proclamation. Councilwoman Jennifer Assay initially brought focus to the special needs community, identified opportunities for support, and said we can do something. Thank you also to Mayor Fields, Councilwoman McCarthy, and Township Administrator Pat Monaco for meeting with us regarding recreational activities. On the subject of affordable housing, correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't see any special needs numbers included in the plan. The presentation to the Town Council by Kendra Lele last June stated our goals and strategies were to maximize special needs housing for bonus credits. And special needs housing do not have any children that will overcrowd our school systems. At our December meetings, both residents and council members were very vocal in support of this effort. I look forward to hearing from the council how special needs housing will be included in the overall plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Megan Leach. I reside at 122 Emerald Valley Lane, where I've lived for about 12 years. And I just came to speak about my concerns about the ordinance 2575. I think it was already spoken about very eloquently by the previous people that spoke, but just in case you're not familiar, with that part of town, we already deal with quite a bit of traffic. That is a cut through for many people, commuters that are going from 78 into Bridgewater. They drive through on Mount Airy, down Mountain Road, into Long Road, and then into Martinsville or down into Bridgewater. The traffic with Pingree School and just the activities at Mountain Park commonly, backs up onto 78, both in the morning hours and in the evening hours, and this is without the Mountain View development, being anywhere near completion yet. As a parent with a child at LCS and at WAMS, we moved to this town for the schools, and I imagine that with the additional housing, many other families will, look to provide their children with some of the best education in the state. And I do, worry how the town will accommodate what could be a large influx of families. It's hard to know. I know that the area from Westgate, because of our proximity to where we live on Emerald Valley Lane, we received a notification last year that it was going to be zoned for senior housing, but this seems like a very different proposal from what had been proposed before. So I know that we need to, make enough housing, both affordable housing as well as, just other homes for people to live. But I just hope that we can do it in a way that preserves the character of our town and doesn't overburden our school system or one neighborhood in the area. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening. I'm Marisa Schaefer. I live at 5 Magnolia Path. I came up and spoke about, a month or so ago with my 20-year-old son, Christopher, who has autism, and we spoke a little bit about our desire to see affordable housing happen for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and my friends and I have been so encouraged to hear the support from the town council and from residents about their desire to help our community. I don't know how much people have been aware previously, but there is a great need to support all these special needs children who come here for the district as they age out of school. To be able to find affordable housing is so critical. So we were so encouraged to hear that people really wanted to rally behind that, and we're going to be looking forward to that. So I'm very surprised, confused, and disappointed that there does not now seem to be something designated for special needs. If not now, when? I mean, the need is here desperately now. So if we're kicking it down the road to the next time we have a mandate to fill, then that's already too late. So my son has applied for benefits from the Division of Developmental Disability called DDD, and so we have him on a priority housing list based on the age of myself and my husband. So he is on the list, and they send me an annual letter on where he gets to be on the list, meaning they're not going to provide any additional funding for his housing until he gets to the top of this list. So a few months back, I got the updated letter, and it said that out of 2,573 people on the list, my Christopher was 2,476. So there are 2,476 people ahead of Christopher before the state will even consider helping to spend funds to find housing for him. Now, this is significant because you all can help provide more housing so that people like my son will have an opportunity to live in independent housing while his parents are still young enough and healthy enough to help him establish into a new home. So that's why it's critical. I just want you guys to envision what this means. So thank you for your consideration, and please consider this as you do the very challenging job of working with developers to find fair housing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Title Stein, Riverside Drive. Let's start with something easy. Over at Henry and Maple today, twice, 2 cars tried to make the turn going up Henry Street against the one-way street. I was able, since I have a loud voice, and probably much louder than anybody in this room, I yelled loud enough that the people in the apartment upstairs heard me to have them stop. It happened once in the morning, once in the afternoon. Can't stop people from being stupid. We can only try to. But maybe if we put a sign There's a school crossing sign just before Henry Street when you're coming from 287 side, basically going east, I guess you could say. If you put a sign there that says no right turn, maybe they'll see that before they decide to make the right turn into the one-way street. But I embarrassed them enough by saying, well, you're trying to kill somebody, and they kind of turned around and left. But it's serious, and, you know, we hear it all the time, one-way, you know, people head-on collisions, people being killed. It's happened a couple times this weekend, in fact. So I think it's something that can't expect the police to be there all the time guarding it. Maybe one more sign, even though there's already signs there that says one way, but maybe they'll not look at their phones and drive by their phones. Now, I understand about the affordable housing. Nobody wants a development built next to them. Nobody in this whole town. Not on the south side, the north side, east, or west side. There's only so many vacant areas that we built. Westgate is already is not open field. There's already buildings there. There's no reason why it can't be, you know, redone to make it better for us in our numbers. You know, I'm sorry if people are upset about that, but, you know, they don't want to build in the quarry. And when Mountain View was going, there was a proposal to build on Valley Road across from VA, and it went to Mountain View instead. So there's just so many open spots, and it's hard. Nobody wants it. And I know the township doesn't want it. And really, the blame goes to the governor, Murphy, and the legislature who approved this, that forces people. In fact, there's people running for governor now who want to even make it force more building in town. And there's nothing that this town could do except follow the law, what you're trying to do. And maybe there's some ways you could shave points, and you know, but it's a hard thing, and I understand that the town's trying as hard as possible. In regards to the Highlands, I know the town's been not really into joining the Highlands because they do restrict, you know, building, and it'll affect a lot of people's property value who may not be able to do what they want to do once they join the Highlands. It was just as like when you change the zoning for manufacturing, and you hurt the people who cannot sell those properties for manufacturing. Even though up in Rockaway, they're building a donut factory right off of 280. And down in Somerset, the diesel engine company is moving down there. And unfortunately, the name escapes me. But these are good manufacturing jobs and companies. And by saying we don't want manufacturing in those zones, I think we hurt the people. We certainly hurt the guy who owns that manufacturing across from Fellowship Village, because he'll never be able to sell his for manufacturing. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Todd.
Hi, I'm Nancy D'Andrea, 3 Vanderveer Drive. I'm going to start with the assessments of our homes that we all received, and then I'll move into housing and the general state of affairs of our town. So, first of all, I want to start with in 2024 ranking for Bernards Township, the median household income in Bernards Township was $174,000. In 2025, Rich High School is in the top 20. That was from Niche. Top 25 in athletics and top 300 nationally. Somerset County, per the 2020 census, we are the 15th highest income county in the country. from Smart Asset, we are ranked 36th in the county. We are the number 1 county to live in per niche. Our education, roads, police, fire, parks, we're good. We are very good when it comes to ranking. In Somerset County, we are number 13 for the best county for families in the United States. Again, that's niche. The state, we have the number 1 university in the nation. TCNJ is number 94, and 7 more in the top 400 in the nation. U.S. News ranks us number 4 in education and number 14 overall in a great place to live. That's the state. Okay. So, we have overall between, and someone even said it, they moved here for the schools. Okay. So someone has to pay for all of these amazing ranks. Okay, and it's us. So I got the assessment too. Mine went up. But we are worth a lot. Our land, because of our schools mostly, and our land too, is worth a lot. So we have to pay these taxes. I get that. Okay, so now let's move on to, because people are like, screaming on Facebook. How do you lower taxes, rateables, and people? You bring in businesses, you bring in people, you will get, on average, lower taxes. Now, the moving to housing. The math that is used for these numbers is ridiculously confusing. And I have a degree in chemical engineering. It is ridiculously confusing. And yes, some people are running to add more, Mr. Edelstein, but there are also people saying that they want to take that entire equation and throw it out. Okay, some people are running on, well, there are some towns that want people. Let's give them the extra numbers. So it is a very difficult situation to examine. Housing complexes are coming. We cannot avoid it. Right now, we cannot in this year. But with more people should come more spending, like the people at Dewey Meadow. They're using those restaurants and things right there in Dewey Meadow. They're getting more income because of the people living there. But we must have people for special needs. We must have housing for special needs. That is really paramount in our town. The thing is, though, and I don't know this answer, can this housing that is being built, I don't think it can be used only for Bernards Township special needs. And that's the issue here. We really don't know what to do with the amount of special need adults that we have. And that is definitely a multi-year planning situation. I don't have that answer, I'm sorry, but I'm just bringing it to you. Now, I do think we need to have a serious study on Liberty Corner Road to Martinsville Road, going down into Martinsville, past Mountain Park, because the traffic there, as we know, is already bad. And being a member of Parks and Rec locally, I know that the traffic is bad. And we put up signs and everything, so we either widen the road or we do something, but if you're gonna build this thing, we have to do something with the road. And I believe you will do a study on the road. I'm hoping you will. The other thing is, I hope people will know that they can go to bernards.org to get information. I had a person here today that, oh darn, they were so upset about their little paper that they got in the mail. They're like, well, how do we find out about the budget? And I'm like, ding, 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 here you go, finance, budget, there you go, ding, it's there. And then I said, and then it usually, there's discussions in April and stuff. People, I really wish that when they move into our town, they are automatically signed up. Like, almost everybody has an email now. Sign them up. I want them to come to our website. I want them to go to Parks and Rec website. And I want them to stop complaining about it on Facebook. I mean, thank you to the people here, though. You guys at least showed up. That's good. You expressed yourself. That's good. NIMBY is real, not in my backyard. I get it. But you cannot have a town like this, schools like this, a county like this, without fulfilling the rules that we need to fulfill, and we have to pay our taxes. This is my personal feelings on this situation. I don't like paying higher taxes either, but I do know that we have an excellent school system and a lot of excellent activities and amenities for a town. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, hello. My name's Ed Gertz. I live at 60 Manchester Drive, and I bet you can guess what I'm here about. What I consider the, sort of overdevelopment of Ridge Oak housing. So that's related to, I guess, Ordinance 2573. When I moved in 20 years ago, for the schools and all these other, beautiful things about this town, my neighborhood had a certain character and we liked it. It was close to town, we could walk there. It was quiet. And now the proposal is to turn a one-family house into an apartment complex literally down the street. I'll be able to see it from my house with a 50-car parking lot right in front of it. I just don't think that's fair to site it there because it's a one-family zoned area, and you're going to put an apartment complex right there, a large apartment complex, which obviously will include greater traffic, greater safety issues. It's an uneven distribution because Ridge Oak already has our fair share of affordable housing and senior housing, and converting a one-family house into an apartment complex in a residential neighborhood that was a house down the street from me and from the neighborhood is just, I think, unfair. It's a highly dense, two-story apartment complex that's being proposed, and right now we have a one-family house. So I think it's self-evident that the problems that will occur to the neighborhood and the impacts, the negative impacts, particularly to the character and the reason why we moved here. And obviously there's, benefits, and we have to find affordable housing and we need to meet these goals, and I understand that, but my concern is that it's being all positioned in my neighborhood and unfairly so. So that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I'm going to close public comment. So before I get onto the next one, just want to let you know, we will address some of your concerns when you came up about affordable housing and about the Westgate project. When we get to the introduction on that, our attorney will be speaking on that behalf, and a few of us will be adding and answering some of your questions. But most importantly, I do want to say, which is really important, is we are doing special needs housing, even though you don't see it. We are doing it, and we're continuing to work on it and have some other opportunities. So I just want you to all know before we go on to the next step that we are doing special needs housing. Next is staff comments, township committee comments, board liaison reports. Pat?
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to welcome our new library assistant, Megan Stolarski. And earlier this evening, we had swearing in for our police officer, or rather our police chief and deputy chief. So Chief King and Deputy Chief Sweeney, congrats. That's all I have.
Thank you. Christy?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We have the townwide green yard sale on April 5th from 9 to 3. You can get more information on bernards.org on the main scroll about this. We will also have Assemblywoman Massacutis have mobile office hours on Tuesday, March 25th from 5:30 to 7:30 here in Town Hall in the Owen Meeting Room. They will be providing assistance with state benefits, including unemployment, anchor claims, and more. You can also learn more information about the senior freeze. Thank you, Mayor.
John?
Mayor, I believe you want me to hold my comments.
Correct.
On affordable housing until we get to Ridge Oak and Westgate and fully brief everyone on where we are, including with the New Jersey Builders Association and Fair Share Houses.
Great, thank you. Jen?
Sure, I've got some updates to share. I want to thank the Municipal Alliance and the Department of Health for the February 27th fentanyl program, including Narcan training. One of the big takeaways that I took from that is that every one of us in New Jersey can access Narcan at local pharmacies and get that training. So if in a situation that we are around someone who needs to have a opioid reversal, having that is something free and an option that I think that each of us should have within our community. February the 28th, big thank you to Dr. Chaudhry for the ISBR crescent lighting. It was a wonderful event. On March the 1st was wonderful to celebrate with the Berners Chinese American Association. The Lunar New Year event was well attended and just a tremendous amount of fun. A big thank you to also the Health Department for the Screenager documentary that was held at the Ridge Pack on March the 6th. That's a very important topic related to screens and our youth and related to mental health. And there are a lot of initiatives that are happening here within Bernards Township on that topic. So grateful that they put that forward. From a Board of Health perspective, want to encourage everyone to please subscribe to the Health Matters, which is the Bernards Township Health Department newsletter. In this particular month of March, for instance, there is the Budget Friendly Bites that's taking place on March the 18th, the suicide prevention training, which is a great opportunity to learn more about, as well as blood pressure screening. So please take a chance to subscribe. And Nancy, I want to point out on the topics of the taxes, in particular, if you're going to drive people and encourage them to go to the website, on the Understanding Bernards, the CFO, the last presentation that he did that's on the website, he and his staff did a really awesome job explaining the assessment process. So the assessments that everybody got has really nothing to do with what the exact taxes are going to be. And that presentation was the best example I have ever heard explained, so I will defer to there, and I encourage people to watch at least that portion of that video. So I'm going to take my time right this moment, and I'm going to speak about remarks. I'm not going to wait for later in the agenda, so here we go. All of my remarks that I'm going to make about the two affordable housing ordinance are not directed to our staff or the professionals who prepared these materials. They are merely completing the work directed by the majority of the Township Committee. Tonight, we have a historic introduction to the Bernards Township Affordable Housing Plan for the fourth round via the introduction of two ordinances. Historic is the word to describe the impact to our community, headlined by the thinking that it's a good idea to install the largest apartment complex in Bernards Township history, including record heights of 70 feet, coupled with 80% impervious coverage. This 574-unit apartment complex would be the fifth largest, of the 21 municipalities in Somerset County. It appears that the negotiation with one developer netted only the standard set-aside of 20%, contrary to what the Fair Share Housing Center reports that many municipalities have succeeded in getting developments built with higher set-asides. I don't plan to speak about my concerns about either of these two ordinances at tonight's meeting. After receiving these ordinances mid-last week without preview and without any additional information, I feel like I should sit on the audience side of this meeting, as I have no insight on these, nor have contributed anything towards them either. All I have are lots of questions and concerns. One major question: what happened to the foundational need of special needs housing for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities? When I led the effort last year, it was a centerpiece, not an afterthought. Hopefully someone informs us all about this. I am going to comment on the process chosen to share with our residents. As a reminder, I repeatedly asked for the timing and details regarding the process for informing residents about the final strategy at both the January 28th and February 11th meetings. Neighboring towns have chosen transparency, with Bernardsville having a planner complete a presentation at a public meeting. Warren Township is having an informal meeting tomorrow, inviting resident input on their affordable housing plan.
Seems like the Bernards Township mayor could have done anything better than just posting 2 ordinances on the agenda with no context or communication, alerting residents to the subject to encourage them to provide input. The good news is, this doesn't have to be the plan. When I led the affordable housing effort last year, this particular proposal was never suggested or even considered. Instead, we focused on maximizing bonus credits by maximizing special needs and senior housing, 2 important needs of our community. While my colleagues may say, the state is forcing us to put in this affordable housing, it isn't mandating this plan. They may say, we don't have time. That's untrue. Why would you rush a critical decision that would negatively impact the community forever? There is time to do what's right. If you are unable or unwilling to do the work necessary to truly evaluate our strategic options, perhaps you should step down so those who willing can. One failure of this body regarding this affordable housing plan was the serious consideration of options at our disposal. 2 options were never considered. 1, obtaining funding through the DCA to complete affordable housing only options, and 2nd, Highlands Regional Master Plan conformance. The easiest thing to do, and dare say the laziest, is to meet with a developer and accept his proposal for a massive complex with a measly set-aside of 20%. No work has been completed on the former option, but let me speak about the latter, where I've done extensive research. The Highlands Regional Master Plan conformance is one solution that would have a significant positive impact on our community, including to bring down the affordable housing obligation. It was included in the January 28th resolution, whereas the township also reserves the right to its position should it participate under the Highlands Water and Protection Planning Act, 2004. Only Anna and I have contacted the Highlands Coalition multiple times to investigate this option, while others on the committee have chosen not to make any outreach. I've also spent considerable hours speaking to other mayors in neighboring communities regarding how they were addressing the affordable housing obligation. I've not spent my time with developers. What is the Highlands Regional Master Plan? Why should it be considered? And who else is doing it? And again, I've confirmed, per the governing organization, the Highlands Council, there is time for Bernards Township to pursue this option. Bernards Township happens to be located in the New Jersey Highlands. The New Jersey Highlands is a vital scenic region spanning 88 municipalities across 7 counties, providing drinking water to 70% of New Jersey residents, rich in forests, rivers, wildlife, and farmland. It supports local agriculture and offers recreational and cultural sites. Protected by the 2004 Highlands Water Protection and Planning Act, the region is carefully managed by the Highlands Council to balance sustainable development and preserving natural resources for future generations. If we conform our zoning laws to be in line with the regional master plan of the Highlands, we receive multiple benefits. 1, environmental protection, safeguards for our water resources, forests, and wildlife habitats. 2, access to funding and support. It unlocks eligibility for state grants, technical assistance, and infrastructure funding from the Highlands Council. 3, it provides sustainable development. It encourages smart growth strategies that balance development with resource conservation. 4, regulatory streamlining. Aligning with the Highlands can simplify state-level environmental approvals, reducing red tape for compliant projects. It also can help us with the DEP. 5, preserved community character. It helps maintain the rural or small town feel curbed by overdevelopment and preserving open space. And lastly, regarding affordable housing, the calculated obligation is much lower. And by chance, the conformed towns, none of the conformed towns received builder remedy lawsuits that Bernards Township received from the Fair Share Housing or the New Jersey Builders Association. So New Jersey Highlands conformance gives us extra protection this round and for the future to transform the level of community protection. What's the downside? Colleagues will claim loss of home rule. What does this mean? Highland Regional Master Plan zoning kicks in only when a lot can be subdividable into 3 lots. Township personnel created an inventory of Bernards Township properties that would be affected by this zoning at my request, and it was determined to be very low double digits. Neighboring towns undertook a similar exercise and subsequently engaged impacted property owners. Taking direction from the sense of this body, my request to do the same was blocked. Again, this committee refused to undertake the simple work necessary to develop an affordable housing plan in the best interest of Bernards Township. Conformance to Highlands is not a loss of home rule, as we can still work with them and avoid all future threats made by the governor via any new proposed bills to further limit our zoning laws. Who else is conforming to the Highlands? Not everybody can. You have to be geographically located. To our north, Harding Township conformed in July of 2024. To our west, Bernardsville conformed in December 2024. The other Somerset municipalities, Somerset County municipalities eligible have either conformed in the protection zone or are considering to conform in the planning zone. So any Somerset County town eligible has conformed or is seriously considering to do so. So many towns across New Jersey are envious of Bernards Township's eligibility to pursue Highlands conformance to drastically reduce the affordable housing obligations. Yet our mayor and deputy mayor have blocked any effort to seriously consider this option. That is simply a travesty that must be rectified. My strong recommendation, but I am only one vote, is to vote no to these two affordable housing proposals, which have had zero resident input, and immediately evaluate the impact of Highlands conformance on the few properties impacted and move in parallel to use the templates and documents as part of conformance while we complete the affordable housing process. With a much lower housing obligation, we can push back on developers who want to stuff in housing that we do not need. And don't buy the argument that we can carry forward or bank extra credits. Why would we build housing today that will destroy our quality of life and damage our schools just so we can have a lower number in 10 years? We have the ability to control our destiny. The plan before us this evening is nothing short of an epic failure of leadership and a breach of fiduciary duty. We should be acting in the best interest of our community to protect our town's character, wonderful schools, infrastructure, and also first responder capacity. We should determine what we want our community to look like, not to allow a developer to tell us what it should be. Thank you.
Just a couple of things. First and foremost, respectfully, I do think it's important for everyone to know that you're here, you're being heard. And I know that sometimes people come to these meetings and think you're speaking and no one is hearing you. But of all the residents in this community, you came and you're here. I've heard from people all weekend. I've received text and emails. So please understand that your sentiments, your concerns are being heard. Differently, I do want to defer to John Bellardo, our counsel, who will speak during the introduction. I think it's important for you to understand the legal framework that we are working within, to understand where we are currently with some of the lawsuits that have been placed against the township, and also to understand the thinking around the ordinances. I just wanted to quickly respond, though, to my colleague. We don't see at the agenda until 2 or 3 days before it gets published. So on Thursday, we see an ordinance, we see the agenda, and at that time, we can comment back. So by no means do I see anything differently than my colleagues. And I don't want to have perspective that there isn't transparency around that perspective. Secondly, I think that it's important for us to consider things like the Highlands Council, which Jen spoke to, and I'll speak to that later. Differently, there are more residences and organizations and landowners who would be impacted by something like that. So as someone earlier said, when we think about affordable housing, generally no one is going to be happy. And when we consider a pathway forward, we have to look at it. It's complex. The Highlands Council is one opportunity, but please understand that as we looked at those initial assessments that were prepared for us, it's not a tiny percentage of people. There are residents like you who would be impacted. And so we take that into consideration as well. So just a couple of things quickly. As the police liaison, I also want to congratulate the appointment of the Chief of Bernards Township Police, Tim King. He's going to be our new chief. He was sworn in this evening, as well as Mike Sweeney, who is going to be our new deputy chief. Both of them are very long-serving in our community, and they're going to bring their leadership to continue the good work of our police department. We have a couple of successes within our police department. You'll remember last year we invested in our license plate readers. The Bernards Township police officers were alerted to a stolen vehicle on Manary Road, and were able to coordinate and arrest 2 suspects last week, and this vehicle was stolen out of Dallas, Texas. So it's good to see that investment paying back to the community. Last week, our detectives were also part of a joint investigation with the FBI and other agencies, and were able to lead to the arrest of suspects that were charged in Somerset County with theft by deception from a victim on Childs Road. This suspect attempted to flee the country out of Boston, and they were detained at customs, and our own detective, Jusina, coordinated the extradition of the suspect back to New Jersey and brought him back to face charges. And our new chief commended the detectives, including Detective Jusina, on their work on the case. And moving on, those of you who are interested in getting to better understand and know our police department, we are going to have a Coffee with a Cop on Saturday, March 22nd, from 9 to 11 a.m. at the Just Riding Along Bike and Coffee Shop at 15 Church Street. I think most of you know what that is. It's a great way to understand and know your police department, and if you have kids or yourself are concerned about bike safety, there's going to be a helmet and bike safety check. And then moving on to our Municipal Alliance, my colleague has already mentioned our fentanyl program last week, which included training on Narcan. The Municipal Alliance has an important program coming up on question, persuade, and refer suicide prevention training. That training helps to understand and reduce suicidal behavior, and it's free to anyone over the age of 18 interested in learning suicide prevention techniques. And that will be Wednesday, March 19th from 10 to 12 p.m. in person at the Berners Township Library, and Wednesday, April 2nd from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m., and that will be via Zoom. And you can register through our www.bernardshealth.org website. And then lastly, we're going to begin to start to look for sponsorship for our Twilight Challenge, which is the biggest fundraiser for our Municipal Alliance to help support education on alcohol, tobacco, and substance abuse. There is registration available now through March 31st, and we hope all of you can join us on June 1st at Pleasant Valley Park for that event. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things. I would like to congratulate our new Chief of Police, Tim King, and our Deputy Chief, Mike Sweeney, who were sworn in earlier tonight. They are leading a fabulous department that is, almost the entire reason why we are among the safest towns, not just in New Jersey, but in the entire country. And I thank both the leadership, past and present, as well as all of the members of the department. I echo the remarks of my co-police liaison, lauding the great work recently by a number of our officers and detectives. And I would just like to add some kudos that we had received from a resident for Sergeant Kevin Little, lauding him for the great work that he did with regards to a particular incident. And, it really spoke to me in part because when my mother, who was experiencing a medical emergency, needed to be rushed to the hospital, it was Sergeant Little who responded to my home and was just so great in that moment. And, not everybody has the sort of bedside manner that you need to deal with people who are in that sort of situation. And Sergeant Little was one of them. And it says, extraordinary amounts about his talents and skills as a police officer. I just want to thank him. And other than that, happy St. Patrick's Day. I will reserve my remarks about the affordable housing issues until when those items come up on the agenda. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Wanted to announce that the Liberty Corner Fire Company will be hosting their spring comedy night on April 26th. Doors open at 6 o'clock. It will take place at the fire station on Church Street, so please visit libertycornerfire.org. We like to get the residents out early and purchasing tickets, and it's really a fun night, and I usually go to every one that they have because they get some really amazing comedians. I'd like to also mention we're going to be kicking off our campaign for the hosting of the First Responders Appreciation Night, which will be on October which will be in October. Dolores Sierra and Jim Fody will be organizing and planning, so the communications will be coming out soon about how you can help participate in our First Responders Appreciation Night. Also would like to thank Anna and her committee on working on our 265th anniversary in town. I know that they've been meeting and planning and have some really great things that are going to be going on in town. So I want to thank you and your committee. I know they've really been dedicated and working really hard. Also on the consent agenda, I'm not going to pull it, but I'm just going to mention Jim Mahoney turned 100 years old last week. He is a World War II veteran. I attended his birthday party and I presented him with a resolution from our town on behalf of our township. And he is at Sunrise in Basking Ridge. His family was there from Iowa, and it was great to celebrate with him and his residents. There's just one thing I was really disappointed about. I thought that they would have 100 candles on the cake, but I heard it was a fire hazard, so he didn't have his 100 candles on his cake. But nonetheless, happy birthday, Jim. It was just so exciting to be there and celebrate with him. Also want to congratulate Tim King on becoming our chief and our deputy chief, Mike Sweeney. I know that they're going to serve us well, and I'm really looking forward to working with them. And one last thing is, we'll address the affordable housing in the Westgate, like I said, when we get there, because I think it's really important that you hear our attorney talk about it, talk about the issues. They're factual. It's what he's learned and what we can and can't do, but most importantly, what he has to say is factual and legal. So I think it's really important that we get his perspective, and then we can all address how we feel about that. So moving on from there, any unfinished business?
None this evening, Mayor.
Any fire and rescue appointments?
None this evening.
Consent agenda. The items listed within the consent agenda portion of the meeting have been referred to the Township Committee for reading and study, are posted on the agenda on the website, and are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion of the Township Committee with no separate discussion. If separate discussion is required, the item may be removed from the agenda for the Township to take action and placed on the regular agenda under new business. Would anyone like anything pulled from the agenda? I personally would like to remove Resolution 2025-0169, recognizing March as Women's History Month. Anyone else? No? 1 minute. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Ms. Acey?
Yes.
Ms. Duarte McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. McNally?
Yes.
Mayor Fields?
Yes.
Motion carried.
So I wanted to discuss Women's History Month, which is Resolution 2025-0169. March is Women's History Month, a time to honor and celebrate the remarkable achievements, contributions, and resilience of women throughout history. This month highlights the trailblazing women who have shaped our world in every field, from science to politics to arts to social justice. It's a reminder to recognize the ongoing efforts to advance gender equality and ensure that the voices of women are heard and valued. As we reflect on the progress made, we also commit to continuing the work needed to create a world where all women have the opportunity to thrive and lead. Let us celebrate the power, strength, and inspiring legacy of the women everywhere, today and every day. I would like to take this opportunity to recognize a few remarkable women who have made a lasting impact in our community through their dedication of service on our boards, committees over the years. Their contribution has been significant, transformative, and deeply appreciated. Carol Scarinello has been an invaluable member of the Parks and Recreation Board since 1996. Kippy Pedici has served on various boards in town since 1999, constantly offering her expertise and commitment. Carol English has made a lasting difference on the Agriculture Board since 2004. Laura Manduke has contributed her talents to both the zoning and planning board since 2012. Catherine Mastrangelo has been an integral part of the planning board since 2025. We are truly grateful for their time, effort, and passion. These women have dedicated their time, energy to our community, and we celebrate them on their tremendous impact and appreciate them continue to make a difference year after year and many years to come. Thank you so much, ladies, for serving and making a difference in our community.
Sure. So just a couple of remarks. 1987 was the first time that Women's History Month was made a recognition through a presidential proclamation to recognize the achievements of women while reflecting on challenges that persist. And it was interesting, there are a lot of statistics developed around women. In New Jersey, while we make up 51% of the state's population, a report from the Rutgers University Center for American Women in Politics reports that women make up only 30% of elected officials across municipal, county, state, and congressional offices. Now, it's interesting reflecting on that statistic. We are actually 3 out of 5 on our township committee. So I want to take a moment to recognize that with my colleagues, Jennifer Acey, Janice Fields, and myself, compromising the majority of our township committee. So we're a little bit different than the elected officials statistic. And hopefully we'll encourage other people to consider running for office. We want people to run, men and women. And this is just, I think, a wonderful statistic about our community. I also want to thank the women in our township administration. We have Krista Kiefer here, our municipal clerk, the members of our police department, fire and rescue, and our staff, and to all of you, the women in our community, and the men who support you, doing things in our community to make a difference. So thank you.
Well said, Anna. Thank you. Jen?
When I worked at a pharmaceutical company, I led the women's ERG. So trying to empower and ensure that especially women had the opportunity to fulfill their full potential has just always been one of my core motivations. So Women's History Month means something really important to me, especially International Women's Day, which is always held on March the 8th, is a wonderful day to recognize and celebrate. I try within, for instance, my house to encourage, especially my daughters, and those within our community to look to other women role models and to celebrate those. I do want to say though that as we do this, and as I've celebrated women, especially with the ERG, we never left our men out, because oftentimes, especially our men leaders would ensure that they wanted the same thing for their daughters. So many times that us as women, we're able to achieve what we can because we have great partners and great folks that will mentor us regardless of their gender. So it's something that I very much enjoy the month, and am grateful that we are doing a resolution. So thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
There's not much more I can add other than to say I'm happy we're doing this resolution, and I want to thank all the women, both volunteers and those in elected office, who and of course our staff who helped to make Bernards the wonderful place that it is.
Thank you. Christie, ordinance 2570.
I apologize, Mayor. Will you need a motion?
I thought I did that already. I'm sorry. So, can I have a motion to move the consent agenda? Oh, no, I'm sorry. No. Can I have a motion to move resolution 2025-0169?
So moved?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next. 2570. Christie, please read the ordinance.
An ordinance to amend the revised general ordinances of the Township of Bernards, Chapter 7, Traffic, Schedule 20, handicap parking areas on public and private properties, and this is introduction.
Pat, you want to speak on it?
Sure, Mayor. The next 3 ordinances are periodic updates to our ordinances relative to handicap parking in town. They're done by engineering department, regular housekeeping that's done on a periodic basis.
Mayor, I move that ordinance 2570 be introduced on first reading, advertised as required by law, and scheduled for a public hearing on 3/25/25.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call, Christie?
Ms. Vacy?
Yes.
Ms. Duarte McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. McNally?
Yes.
Mayor Fields?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Ordinance 2571. Christie?
An ordinance to amend the revised general ordinances of the Township of Bernards, Chapter 7, Traffic, Schedule 19, handicap parking areas on municipal and Board of Education properties, and this is introduction.
Yeah, that's a script. Motion.
Mayor, I move that ordinance 2571 be introduced on first reading, advertised as required by law, and scheduled for a public hearing on March 25th, 2025.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Vacy?
Yes.
Ms. Duarte McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. McNally?
Yes.
Mayor Fields?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Ordinance 2572. Christie?
An ordinance to amend the revised general ordinances of the Township of Bernards, Chapter 7, Traffic, and this is introduction.
Mayor, move that ordinance 2572 be introduced on first reading, advertised as required by law, and scheduled for public hearing on March 25th, 2025.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call, Christie?
Ms. Vacy?
Yes.
Ms. Duarte McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. McNally?
Yes.
Mayor Fields?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Ordinance 2573.
An ordinance of the Township of Bernards, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, amending, revising, and supplementing the Code of the Township of Bernards, Chapter 21, Land Development, to create the SH-4 Senior Housing Zone, and this is introduction.
John, would you like to speak on this?
I'm ready. I'm going to provide some historical context, so you'll have to be a little bit patient about Mount Laurel. We're now in our 50th year of Mount Laurel. What's Mount Laurel? Back in 1975, the New Jersey Supreme Court held that municipalities had a constitutional obligation to provide their fair share of affordable housing. Since then, we've had 4 Mount Laurel decisions by the New Jersey Supreme Court. Eventually, there were builders' remedy lawsuits. What are builders' remedy lawsuits? As a result of that, back in the 70s and 80s, builders began to sue towns, claiming towns had not provided their fair share of housing. Bernards Township was involved in a Supreme Court case along with other municipalities called Hills Development Corporation versus Bernards Township. That's how you have the Hills in Bedminster and Bernards. It resulted as because of that case. Eventually, what happened was the legislature said, we can't have a system where these builders are coming to court and suing towns, and there's no methodology. So in the 80s, they passed the Fair Housing Act that prescribed the creation of the Council on Affordable Housing. COA was created, and there was a process where COA would provide a town with a number, and the town could petition COA for substantive certification. And if COA granted you substantive certification, you had protection from builders' remedies lawsuits for a period of 10 years. Eventually, in the early 2000s, COA was challenged, and the regulations were challenged, including by Fair Share Housing Center. Governor Christie did not appoint members to COA. Eventually, COA became a moribund agency. There was a 10-year series of lawsuits going from the appellate division up to the New Jersey Supreme Court. Finally, in 2015, the New Jersey Supreme Court said, the legislature has failed to act. COA is a moribund agency. We're going to go back to a system of builders' remedy lawsuits. Meaning, essentially, it became the Wild West. Builders were able to sue. Fair Share Housing Center was an arbiter for the creation of settlement agreements. What happened in July of 2015? Bernards, like many municipalities, followed the Supreme Court ruling and filed a declaratory judgment action. That began a series of negotiations with Fair Share Housing Center, concerning what our number was. As a result of that, we eventually entered into a settlement with Fair Share Housing Settlement. It was approved by Judge Thomas Miller, and it included Dewey Meadow and Mountain View. We then obtained immunity from builders' remedy lawsuits for a period of 10 years until July of 2025. So what are municipal attorneys thinking back in late 2023 and early 2024 as July 2025 is approaching? Well, we're going to have another Wild West round of builders' remedy lawsuits. Much to our surprise, though, the legislature enacted and the governor signed an amendment to the Fair Housing Act. This is it. It was signed in March of 2024. And what it said was the Department of Community Affairs would assign various affordable housing numbers to towns. And they were to do that by the end of October of 2024. So what did we start to do here? There were numbers that were put out by an attorney that's a guru on affordable housing that estimated, based upon Judge Jacobson's methodology in a case down in Mercer County that was accepted by Mount Laurel judges during the last round, what our number would be. All of these folks here sprung into action in terms of what are we going to do to plan for this. We thought our number at that time was 444. Eventually, we hired last year Kendra Lely, who had been the Bernards Township Special Master in our last round. In other words, she was the woman that was appointed by Judge Miller to make sure our affordable housing obligations met the criteria of the Supreme Court. So what did we do in 2024? We said she oversaw us last time, let's hire her, since she's an expert and used to work at COA and is one of the best planners in the state to work for us. So what did we do last year? Prior to these numbers coming out, we had her estimate what she thought our number was going to be. And she thought our number was going to be lower than the 444. She thought we were going to be around 230, 232. Well, when these numbers came out, they were 218. So what did we do? We immediately started looking at the 218 number. Kendra Lely, David Schley, those are our planners. David's in-house, Kendra's outside. We looked at the database that the state used for developable land that was promulgated by a so-called expert at Rowan University. And we dug in deep to try to decide if what they were claiming was developable land was in fact developable land. And so what we discovered was of the 46 properties they claimed were developable, that in fact only 3 of them are. So how does that play into where we are today? Well, all of a sudden a week before Christmas, the Office of Administrative Courts comes out with an entire new procedure under the law. And what it says is, instead of filing a resolution certifying your number by the end of January with the Department of Community Affairs, because that's what the law said we should do, they said you have to file a declaratory judgment action with the courts. That's what we were trying to avoid by enacting this new legislation, going back into the court system. So we also had to certify a number by the end of January. So what happened on, I believe it was January 28th, we certified a number, we filed a declaratory judgment action the next day, we attached Kendra Lely's report and the resolution, and we said our number was 171. Now we had to sit back and wait, because this administrative order said that any interested party could challenge that number by the end of February by filing an answer objecting to our number. Not a lawsuit, but an answer objecting to our number. And so we waited with the hope that no one would file an answer objecting to our number. Well, what happened on February 28th? On Friday, this thick document with all this data came in from Fair Share Housing Center, challenging our number, saying our number should not be 171, it should be 225. Meanwhile, the New Jersey Builders Association filed a blanket objection to any town that sought a reduction. They didn't challenge our number, they just said, if all of these 158 towns have reduced numbers, that'll reduce by 14,000 the number of affordable units in the state, and that's not fair. And so all of a sudden, on February 28th, we had to spring into action. So last Friday, the New Jersey League of Municipalities sponsored a Zoom call for attorneys and interested officials, and that was hosted by John Drill. John Drill's our planning board attorney. John knows a lot of affordable housing, as do I. And what did we decide last Friday afternoon? We decided, since that we were gonna file an objection, each town had to file an objection to the New Jersey Builders Association answer. And so I sprung into action and worked all weekend, and on Monday morning, and Christine has a copy for anyone that wishes to look at it, we filed with Judge Miller an objection, saying their methodology was incorrect and improper under the law and shouldn't be countenanced. And furthermore, their motion to consolidate all 159 or 160 towns into one particular proceeding should be denied. What else is going on? A lot. Because on less than a week's notice, the program said, hey, you're having mediation next Monday. And you're gonna have mediation with Judge Miller, your special master, who's a planner named Jennifer Breen, and you're gonna have it with Fair Share Housing Center and the New Jersey Builders Association. So we start gearing up for Monday, and then on Thursday they say, no, it's going to be on Tuesday. So what do we do to get ready for this mediation? Well, our team has to look at the properties that they claimed are developable. Now, of the 43 that we said were not developable, they said 11 are. And so we had David Schley dig into it. And guess what some of the properties Fair Share Housing Center claims are developable? Bonnie Bray, Somerset Hills Baptist Church, Township Open Space. So David Schley, who's done a tremendous job, started working and developing methodology and looking at all 11 of these particular parcels and indicating why they should not be considered. And so we've been having negotiations with Fair Share Housing Center. And I won't tell you what they are because they're privileged. But we had mediation today, and their main attorney could not attend. So Judge Miller, who's very familiar with our town, because he was the Mount Laurel judge for Somerset, Hunterdon, and Warren the last round. He's now retired, but he's one of the 7 Mount Laurel judges on recall, and he heads the entire program. So he's directed the attorneys to have further conversations on whether these 11 properties should be in or they should be out. Because by March 30th, this particular program says you've got to have a number. And so we're not talking about a plan right now when we're dealing with the Builders Association and we're dealing with Fair Share Housing Center. We're arguing over what our number is. We're saying our number is 171. They're saying it's 225. The Builders Association is saying the number should be 218. So what happened today was mediation. If we can't reach an agreement, and the only way we reach an agreement is I go into closed session with these folks and talk and say this is what we think the number is, and they pass a resolution. And so we have one more meeting before the end of March. Then it goes to Judge Miller for a formal hearing. And then Judge Miller makes a recommendation to the current Mount Laurel judge, Kevin Shanahan. And so then by the end of March, presumably under this program, everybody in the state that participated has a number. But all of these mediations for these 158 or 59 towns are coming out like a shotgun. They're just boom, 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 boom over the next couple of weeks. So you know about as much as we know about because we're finding out these things on a last-minute basis. And I can tell you that your team doesn't go to bed on Friday because I've got an email here from Josh Bowers of Fair Share Housing Center on Saturday morning at 6:01 that I replied to at 6:03. And so I'm working with our team all weekend, on Friday nights, on Saturday, on Sunday, on early Monday mornings. So where does that get us, and where are we
tonight. Many of you had said, I don't see this in the affordable housing plan, and I don't see this. These ordinances do not constitute the affordable housing plan. The planning board, under the law, by June 30th of this year, has to adopt an amended housing element and fair share plan. The planning board. And they're gonna specify in detail how we're gonna meet our affordable housing obligation and whatever number that is. And when they do that, it then has to come back to us and we have to pass a resolution endorsing that. And then after June 30th, anyone again that's an interested party has the ability and opportunity under the law by August 30th, forget the number's been decided, to challenge the affordable housing element and fair share plan and say, we don't agree with it, we don't think it works. So how did we get to where we are tonight? Well, it's public knowledge, but I can tell you we've had proposals all over town. Mr. Edelstein mentioned 2 of them. We had a massive proposal in the quarry. Well, we weren't going to do that. Across from the VA, next to Cedars, they're back again. Your folks on Allen Road, they want to do something at 110 Allen Road. Hovnanian, they want to do 247 units. So these folks have the difficult choice of deciding what to put into or recommend in the plan. These ordinances, if they're introduced tonight, are going to go over to the planning board. And the planning board's going to look at them in terms of consistency or inconsistency with the master plan. And under section 26, make recommendations as to what they think should be in the ordinances to make them better. And my understanding is the planning board's supposed to meet on March 18th, and if they can't do their work by then, to meet on April 1. The public hearings on these ordinances aren't till April 15th, because this committee wanted to give a sizable amount of time between introduction and the public hearing for the public to look at these, to digest these, and also to, if you wish, to attend the planning board hearing meetings at which they're going to be adopted. If you look at these ordinances, they have a provision in them that says no developer can submit an application before the planning board until such time as 3 things happen. The planning board's got to put them in its housing element and fair share plan. 2, there has to be no disputes over the calculated number. And 3, there have to be no unresolved challenges with either Fair Share Housing Center, the New Jersey Builders Association, or any other interested party that files by August 30th. So if these things are adopted, nobody gets to come in and submit an application until such time as there's no challenges, because we're not going to let anyone file an application until we know these things have been approved and they're not challenged. Okay? So where are we with some of these numbers? 218 is the DCA number. 225 is Fair Share Housing Center. 171 is modified by the township. We're hoping to get 171, but there's no guarantee we're going to get 171. Ultimately, we're going to fight for that number. We're going to mediate. Hopefully, we'll get a judge or someone to take our side and say, yeah, those 11 particular parcels, those shouldn't be included. Or I could convince Fair Share Housing Center they shouldn't be included, because they've reached settlements with some towns. They've reached settlements with Bridgewater and Franklin Township and East Brunswick. And I said to Mr. Bowers, you accepted their modified number. Where are we? Why not our modified number? Ridge Oak, that would be 29 affordable housing units. Bonus credits would be 29. That would provide us 58 toward our number. Ridge Oak has extensions of controls that are expiring in 2032. They have offered to extend those 242 controls at no cost to the township. We can't use all of those. We could only use perhaps 38 of the 247 units. But if we use 38 of those, we would get up to 96 units. And that would mean that 29 units gets us up to 96 units. Now, I'm not saying that Fair Share anyone's necessarily going to lock, stock, accept those extensions. That's something that we're gonna have to have a talk with them, and that's something we're gonna have to argue if the planning board puts it in its amended housing element and fair share plan. So that's what we're looking at there. Westgate, total affordable housing units is 115 bonus. We're limited to 27, that's 142. That would get us up to 238 units. We are looking at group homes. We've had meetings, and the mayor's had meetings with our house. They own a group home at 399 Mount Airy Road. They're looking for us to contribute $50,000 a bed. That would be $200,000. We've done developments with our house in the past, including on Lafayette Lane, Vale Terrace, and Kenyon. Those documents are being circulated amongst the attorneys. Their attorney has those documents. That's something I believe the majority of this township committee is going to approve. That would be 4 units that would be included in the planning board's amended housing element and fair share plan. We've had discussions with our house and indicated if they find other houses, and it's difficult for them because they've got to find a ranch because of the developmental disabilities, and it's costly in Bernards Township to find these. But I know this particular body has indicated we have funds available in our Affordable Housing Trust Fund, so it's entirely possible that if our house or some other group home or someone that wanted to do something for special disability folks came in, that there's money to subsidize that. So the special disabilities has not been completely forgotten. It's just that we need opportunities to do that. Westgate, that was a senior project. However, if we max out our senior credits at Ridge Oak, those senior credits that we adopted back in that overlay zone in December 2023 don't help us. So we went back to them and asked if they would do single-family rentals, and they agreed that they would do that. And there was a lot of negotiation and a lot of horse trading. And the standard for rental units in this state that's often required and approved by judges is 15% set aside. For sale units are 20% set aside. So we did a lot of horse trading with them, and we got them to go from 15% to 20%. So in my opinion, that is a significant rental set aside, not an insignificant rental side, because most are only offering 15%. So that's where we are with these particular ordinances. That particular developer purchased a liquor license for $400,000 a few years ago. He's looking to take the existing office warehouse building and reconvert that into rental units. There'd be 150 in there, and a set-aside building, there'd be another 50. The fact that he's converting an existing office rental building gives us bonus credits, because that's what the new law allows. He would then create other existing senior rental units in a new building. There would be amenities. The units under the new UHAC regs, and this is also what we're dealing with. These new UHAC regs came out in the middle of December. These uniform housing regs by New Jersey Housing Mortgage Finance Agency. We had to digest 200 pages of regulations that are on an interim basis from December 19th of this year to December 19th of next year. And we have new ones that are permanent that are coming out shortly that are going to be in the New Jersey Register. And we have to read through all of these. And so one of the things that they require, which is an upgrade, is that the affordable units have to be the same as the market units. You can't have other side of the track units anymore. So if you get an affordable unit, it's going to look like the market unit. The other thing they said is you can't segregate. You can't put all of the affordable in one building and the market in another. They have to be interspersed. So if you go in, you're not going to be able to tell what's a rental and what's an affordable unit. So there was a lot of moving pieces, a lot of negotiation, a lot of going back and forth on the ordinance. Dave Schley was involved, Kendra was involved, I was involved, John Drill was involved. So a lot of what we did, these folks are just finding out. They've been involved in the process throughout, but we've got to, on short order, get these ordinances together and get moving, because the state's essentially put a gun to our head. They say, hey, you got to do this by June 30th. And then we got to deal with these two challenges. So that's where we're at. It's been a busy few months since the middle of December, and it's been a lot of time, effort, and tears, and luckily we've had staff involved, and we've had people on the Affordable Housing Subcommittee this year, and many members of this particular body have attended individual meetings with developers to inquire about their project, to gather information about their project. Mr. Tancredi, who's not here tonight, got up to speed very quickly. So people have been meeting. So there's been a lot going on behind the scenes, and that's about it. I spoke so much I made you go. You want to take a break until you get back?
Yeah, I'll tell you what,
Why
let's
don't we
take a
do that?
5-minute recess.
Yeah. Let everyone use the facilities. It's 9:30.
Can I make a motion to get all new chairs for here, because audience chairs stink. Pat, lined up. These chairs, they stink, they need new chairs. Yeah,
It's candy eating season year round for me. Oh my God. Yeah. So we just get this online.
No. We did. Did I speak all right, John? Was I somewhat correct?
Hey, Todd, the lights are still on.
We're not on camera, are we? Oh, no.
You almost made it up here. You kind of guessed me. You almost made it up here. You. So let's just see, I gave you my papers, right, or you give them back?
That's a good point. You're gonna make a note next March.
All right, you have my papers. I gave you mine, I said this is what.
Oh, sorry. You're right.
So we're just gonna.
Sure.
Okay, let's start. Okay, we're back in session. Okay, so we were on ordinance 2573, which we're speaking about the senior housing zone, which is,
Mayor, move that ordinance 2573 be introduced on first reading, referred to the planning board and advertised as required by law, and scheduled for a public hearing on 4/15/25.
Second?
discussion? Andrew, would you like to go first?
Yes, I really would, and I'd like to begin by thanking John Bellardo for that brilliant recitation of the entire world of affordable housing. And I hope that it gave you some insight into the amount of work and effort that's been put in by especially our professionals and staff for a long time as far as this is concerned. And so, I do have to say, it takes a lot of chutzpah by Committeewoman Acey to suggest that we are taking this scattershot approach, picking projects out of a hat. Really nothing could be further from the truth. And I find it off-putting when someone, seeks to wrap themselves in the flag of opposing overdevelopment when a couple of months ago, it was others on this committee, including myself, who were pushing back on a movie studio project that was championed by Committeewoman Acey, for which there was no mandate from the state in order to do. That is highly distinguishable from what we're talking about here when it comes to affordable housing, which is a mandate that's been in place in one form or another for over 50 years. I am not a fan of this mandate. I've said that plenty of times in the past, and I can tell you that this mandate isn't working and having its intended effect, because today, affordable housing is less affordable than it's ever been. And yet we've been under this policy for the last 50 years. So it is not working. However, it is the law of the land. And any one of us could get up here and say, hey, we're not gonna follow this, or we're gonna tell the state to go scratch or whatever. And then we would get sued, and then we would lose. And then the state, either through DCA, a judge, whatever the case may be, would be able to dictate, where this affordable housing is going to go. So this is not a position we like to be in. We wouldn't be talking about this if it were not for this state mandate. But I accept the world as it is, not how I would prefer it to be. And therefore, we all try very hard to make the best situation we can out of a situation we prefer to not to be in. And so part of that due diligence involves studying these proposals, talking with our staff and professionals who are very learned when it comes to this. And I'll speak only for myself, but my style when it comes to doing this job here is to really lean on our professionals and our staff in a very meaningful way. I invite criticism. I try not to come in with preconceived notions. especially when it comes to something this complicated. So I will routinely say, hey, if I have an idea, like, tell me if I'm crazy or something like that. And I can assure you, the staff and professionals that we have consulted with believe that moving these ordinances forward to fulfill this mandate, which we prefer not to have to do, is the best way forward for Bernards Township. And so, you know, why do I say that? Well, first of all, let me say that the township is not a property developer. We don't build any of these things. We have to look at what developers provide to us and choose from among those in order to clear the number that the state has imposed upon us. And we push back very hard on those developers. We're pushing back on the state to try to get that number reduced as low as we possibly can. We are currently the subject of a legal challenge that Mr. Bilardo referred to. I was sitting in the mediation with the judge earlier today, trying to hold the line to build as little as possible while still fulfilling the mandate and being in control of our own destiny. And one of the ways that you can lose control of your own destiny is this proposal about joining the Highlands Coalition. This is a bad idea. The Highlands Coalition was established maybe about 20 years ago and covers a lot of towns in the northwest part of the state who don't have a choice. When I worked for the state, I had to work with a number of those different towns who wanted to do this, that, or the other thing, and they were restricted from what they wanted to do. And they couldn't believe that they were subject to all of these sorts of restrictions. We, in Bernards Township, have the luxury of not being a part of that system unless we sign up for it. And the Highlands Council is comprised of a number of political appointees. You don't know who they're going to be on a go-forward basis. But what I can tell you is they don't live in this town, nor are they accountable to the people at the end of the day. They don't run for office. So what we're talking about when we're talking about joining the Highlands Council is surrendering local control over land use to an unelected body comprised of people who don't live here. And that can be like somewhat of an easy way for folks like us to get off the hook and just kick the can over to them and say, we'll make it their problem. But any one of you would be quite right when they make a decision to say, you're responsible for that. Why am I responsible for that? Because I handed the steering wheel over to them instead of holding on to it in a manner that an elected official is supposed to be accountable to the people and face the fire and not kick the can. Now, kicking the can over to the Highlands Council not only compromises the development rights of a great many property owners within the town, it's also not a silver bullet. It may work to reduce the number of units that we might have to build if we were to take this extraordinary step, which nobody has wanted to do for the entire existence of the Highlands Council in this town. But it doesn't eliminate it in its entirety. And therefore, we would still have to build at least 2 projects, Ridge Oak and another one, in order to get over even a reduced number. And quite frankly, the juice is not worth the squeeze when it comes to signing up for the Highlands Council. So why are we doing these 2 particular projects? I'll cut to the chase. Again, prefer not to be in this position at all. Ridge Oak is attractive because it is a senior living facility that was founded by area churches many, many years ago and provides housing to indigent elderly people within our community. Strictly from a numbers game, every unit that's being built at Ridge Oak is an affordable unit. That is unusual within the affordable housing context. More often than not, you have to build a lot of units and have a 15 or 20% set aside in order, under that sort of scenario. Here, we effectively have 100% set aside at Ridge Oak. And so that makes that a very attractive proposition for purposes of, fulfilling our number. Westgate is a parcel of land that is currently the subject of a development approval already for a 55-plus community. That was done at a point before we had an affordable housing number, before this new scheme that the legislature came up with last year was even a thought in anybody's mind. So there's two things we could do. We could look elsewhere to 2, 3, maybe 4 parcels elsewhere in town and try and assemble enough units in order to meet this number and still have development at Westgate in the form of the 55-plus approval they already have. So if you reject Westgate, you're automatically signing yourself for a minimum of 3, likely more developments than you would otherwise have. Option B is to put points on the board when it comes to affordable housing by making the move that we're kicking off tonight, which is to convert that existing approval into an affordable housing approval. And that way, that approach reduces the overall development to the maximum that we possibly can under this mandate that we would prefer not to be under in the first place. And, I'll say this in conclusion, is the number of affordable units that ultimately get built going to be more than 171? The answer is yes under our plan. A couple of reasons for that. First, as Mr. Bellardo mentioned, we are actively pursuing building special needs housing within the town. Is it within the 2 ordinances you see tonight? No, it's not within the 2 ordinances you see tonight. That is something that we're approaching carefully. It's something that we are not necessarily tying to these legislative deadlines that we have to fulfill pursuant to the affordable housing mandate. But rest assured, we wouldn't be speaking in such ways that we were going to do this if we weren't prepared to do it. So attorneys are exchanging different paperwork and stuff like that in order to effectuate this, and so that moves forward apace on a separate track, but moving forward quickly from what we're talking about here. And I for one believe that the special needs community has indeed special needs, so we have to be particularly careful to ensure that what gets built is suitable for those needs, and we don't try and shoehorn it into places where, say, the developer is not prepared to do that sort of thing. So I think that we are taking a very reasonable, a very rational approach, and I can't say that folks are going to find the moves that we have to make here popular. This tends not to be popular. But this is among the problems that we have with this mandate. It forces the local officials to have to face the people as if we're the hatchet men, moving this whole thing forward. No, we just unfortunately have to make the decisions in order to meet the number that the state has set for us. One last thing. I mentioned how we're going to be building more affordable units over the 171. One reason for that is the special needs housing that we're moving towards. Another reason for that is that we don't know what the final number is going to be, as Mr. Bellardo had mentioned before. So a couple of things we could do. We could drop the 20% set aside that Mr. Bellardo mentioned down to 15 arbitrarily, set a terrible precedent, go back on the hard-fought negotiations in order to get them to 20%, and try and come in right on the nose for 171. Not a good idea. Secondly, let's say we came in right on the nose, and then mediator, judge, makes a determination, it's actually got to be higher than that. Then we have to go out and scramble and beg, borrow, and plead to hopefully get over whatever new number they impose upon us. Right now, we feel confident in our legal position of 171. the same time, though, we're insulated if the worst happens, and you have to be prepared for the worst. So that's the approach we're taking, and all the reasons why we're doing it. We're trying to be as transparent as we possibly can, even though we're subject to a legal challenge. That concludes my remarks. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I also want to say that Deputy Mayor has been the liaison for affordable housing this year, so I want to thank you so much for that very informative report. Jen?
So I need to clarify, when we talk about the Highlands Council, there are only 2 people who have had any conversations within the last 4 weeks with the Highlands Council. So perhaps Committeeman McNally is dealing with outdated and incorrect information. There are reasons why our neighboring communities have conformed. It's not as bad as what he says it is. Why are we so unique and so perfect that we don't think it's a good option? Why are we unwilling to consider? Why are we unwilling to consider? And the number of properties that are impacted, 13. Why are we afraid to interact with 13 Bernards Township residents to find out how this would harm? What's the problem? Why are we afraid? Instead, we want to jam 574 units. The juice is not worth the squeeze. Maybe we should ask anybody with a child in the Bernards Township school system, like myself, who is already looking at overcrowding in Cedar Hill and Liberty Corner, not even considering no one in our community is going to be able to drive anywhere to Mountain Park, whether or not you live there or not. A lot of our kids are involved in school programs at Mountain Park. No one is ever going to get there. So, and you brought up the film studio. That's great. The film studio, and I'm going to say again, I was lockstep. All of my colleagues agreed every step of the way. It wasn't until that meeting, that December the 10th, that there was an opposition, okay? So, and that film studio, if we want to bring it up, 3 things were negotiated that developer gave us. 16 units for adults with IDD, a workforce living opportunity in the workforce center, and a 5,000 square foot community center. 3 things the developer gave us. What does the developer at Westgate give the community? So at the end of the day, I am asking my colleagues to reconsider. We don't have to worry about, is it 218, 225, whatever number. If you actually considered conformance with Highlands using accurate current information, that number could be significantly less. We should consider it. That is what you elect us to do, is to consider information. So that is what I'm asking my colleagues to do, not to sit and make decisions based on the past or based on opinions. We need to research, we need to have the meetings and investigate and make an informed decision for our community for now and the future, not only 10 years. It matters. It is worth the squeeze. Thank you.
Anna?
Yes, now I wanted to comment too, thank you. First I wanted to thank John Bellardo for his summary and for an update. I think it's really critical for people to understand this process. I'm the newest member of the Township Committee, so for me it was a journey to understand affordable housing, to attend seminars with the League of Municipalities, to have constant conversations with staff. I also want to echo the work that our staff does on this, from David Schley to Pat Monaco and others in engineering and public works, and in particular John, to help us understand both the law, the impact, the potential impact, and so I really appreciate that. And I also think it would be helpful if we could create some forum, perhaps a presentation or other way, we can noodle on that you, the public, can then ask questions, because you're getting information, but it's hard to get, like, what does that mean? Or so hopefully we can consider something like that for you. I think it would be helpful. So a couple of things. So I'm probably somewhere in the middle on the Highland Council. I too have spent time speaking with them at length to understand what that would be. We also did, as Committeewoman AC said, an initial assessment. Actually, I think you commented on it, the assessment that was done. Thank you. To gain an understanding of what voluntary compliance would mean for Bernards Township. So we did have an opportunity to consider what that would be. Somewhat, I see it a little bit differently. There is actually a bigger impact than potentially is being suggested, but there's an opportunity too. My consideration would be that we do keep this absolutely on our proposals for the next couple of years, and that we work with residents and other properties that might be impacted to understand its impact and to see if we can create a pathway toward it. I did worry about making it linked specifically to an affordable housing drive. The number I believe that came back was, if I can say it, Council, like somewhere around 89 or 90 versus 171. It's not a huge delta. So to that extent, I felt like let's pursue what we can this round, but absolutely we need to focus on it, because we could have a fifth round, and what will that look like, and what will the numbers look like? So that's where I am. I do think it's an opportunity. I didn't think we could get there in 4 months, in particular because of residents that would be impacted, as well as others who own property. There are steps to take forward to conform. The Highlands will then look at their master plan, compare it to your own. And so to that extent, we can provide more information on this. I think it's helpful for you to know, but that's where I stand on that. Differently, I think we don't know what the number is. People have asked that. We've heard a couple of numbers, 225, 218, 171. So we have to work to get there. What we're introducing tonight are 2 opportunities for us to get there. Some of you, I know the gentleman who spoke from Manchester probably remembers that in 2023, there was a resolution, or rather an ordinance passed, that provided an opportunity for Ridge Oak to actually go forward and seek funding, to receive funding to support the purchase and development of that zone. So that was passed by the Township Committee, and that created that pathway to create this zoning in Ridge Oak. And then differently, as Committeeman Deputy Mayor McNally spoke to, in 2023, the Township Committee also passed an overlay on Westgate. So that overlay was approved for senior housing for 374 units. So the extent to which we pursue that as an opportunity for affordable housing is a pathway. It's an existing area. There's already been approval to build there. And so differently though, as we said, there is time. So we want to hear from the public. We want to hear and understand what the planning board comes back to see if it is consistent with our master plan. So like all of us, I live here too. I've been here 30 years. These are challenging conversations. I feel that we have to do what we can best for our community. I don't want to see us having taxpayer dollars to fight for litigation, which can happen. I want to say to some extent, I feel like the developers are around us like a shark tank waiting to see what happens. And we don't want to use your tax dollars to fight legal challenges. So we'll do what we can. I do want to hear from the public though. I encourage that. And I also do hope we can continue to have more forum for you to get information back, because your questions matter. So thank you.
Thank you. So I'm not going to repeat everything that my colleagues said, because I do agree with what they said. You know, most of us are against overdevelopment, and I am against overdevelopment. So one of the reasons why I did run is I did feel like the last time we did do affordable housing, we didn't fight as hard as we could have, and maybe could have challenged the number. And so I felt this was an opportunity for the next time that it came about that I could be part of that. And like everyone has said, we really don't have that much control over it. It's a mandate. It's not a development that we just decided to build. And you know, that's overdevelopment. You know, when you decide to pick a project, have somebody purchase property and build on it. You know, we haven't done that. You know, this is an actual mandate that we need to fulfill for affordable housing. Now, it's been very, very challenging for all of us, and this started last year with all of us working together on this. So we've gotten proposals, we've met with other developers, and tried to do the best that we could to pick which would best fit. One of my things is, I think that's really important, so if you drive around other communities, and some of them were really quaint, beautiful historical communities and were affected by affordable housing, and there's developments all over, just pumped all over. In these beautiful neighborhoods, they had to build affordable housing. So one of the things that I wanted us to do, which I think was really important, is to minimize the impact. How many developments were gonna go in our town? Were they gonna be scattered all over, like Andrew had mentioned, where you have to do 3 and 4, and that they were just plunked on different lands of property and they would stand out? Because the one thing about our town is, when you drive through, it's just beautiful aesthetically. And so where were we gonna put this was the challenge, not to be able to impact the historical, which we've had that problem before when we were gonna develop. It was gonna go in an area that was historical, and it was going to be an overdevelopment. Where here, we wanted to really make sure that we met the challenges of having less impact. And Westgate was that area for us. It's one area, it's fulfilling most of the obligations, it's set aside. It was already developed, so it's not like it's a redevelopment, but it's already developed. And it was a good opportunity for us to be able to put it there, and then with the Ridge Oak facility. So speaking on Westgate, which is important, I think, is that everyone keeps saying the number's high, but we don't know what the number is. We can't come in just under the wire, because we're in litigation. If it comes back and the number is higher, then we're gonna have to find another development and another place to build it. So we need to have somewhat of a buffer at that facility to be able to meet the obligation depending on where the number's gonna go. So that's the problem that we're having. And as far as the Rich Oak is concerned, like you said, it's one-on-one. So it's already affordable housing. We all believe in affordable housing. And the best part about that is it's affecting our most vulnerable people in our community, which are our seniors. So it's a senior housing for affordable housing. It's two things that mean a lot to all of us in our community. And we are working really hard for the special needs housing. So right now, like our attorney had said, we are speaking with the 4 units to do for the special needs housing. So we are doing something for special needs. But above and beyond that, and Anna was there, we are working with them, and we have the ability to do more with them. It's just like they said, it's hard to find the properties. It's hard, for them to, do that. So they've got the capability, we have the capability, and we're working hard. And we're trying to work with some other people that have land that maybe possibly would want to donate and they want to build it. So it's ongoing. We are doing something, but I can tell you, we've been working really hard to do more than just the 4 units. And that's really important to us. So like you said, if you don't see it, doesn't mean we're not doing it. We are doing it, but we are working really hard to do more. And we're hoping that we're going to be able to do that going forward. And just understand that we've been put in a very difficult position. And we've all talked about the Highlands. And like I said, it's home rules. It's not wanting to give up the authority to someone else on what we can and can't do. But most importantly, it's going to affect all of you. Like, we're sitting here, and what is our job? Our job is to take care of you, take care of your property. It's your retirement. It's what opportunities you're going to have. And I don't want that to be minimized by the Highlands. So we have discussed that. What is unfortunate is there's 5 of us sitting here, right? And then we all make decisions. In the end, the majority of us rule. So if one person doesn't agree with what we want, you kind of have to understand that you're not always going to get your way. Not everybody is going to agree with you, or maybe they're not going to agree with you at that particular moment. And like Anna said, right now, my position is I don't want to do the Highlands right now. Maybe down the road, it may be beneficial, but we did look into it, we did discuss it, we did get the material. And for someone to say that we don't know enough, or we're not educated enough, well, if you make a decision, you are educated on the decision you make, because that's important. So that's where I stand with the Highlands. I'm not for it. I think if we can get to the 171, it'll be perfect. Not to the 89 right now, maybe opt into the Highlands later. But like I said, we're doing all we can. And which is also very important is The set aside for the 20%, not every town is getting that, the 20%. That is on the high end, and I have to compliment the deputy mayor for the 20% set aside for what we're doing. It's really important. So just understand, we're doing all that we can. We're working really hard to get to a good place with this. And we will have a meeting and we will have questions and answers like Anna said. We needed to get the introduction done, then it goes to the planning board, then we have the public meeting. So this is constantly work in progress. I think that's it. Did we get the second, though, on the first one?
We did, yes.
Okay, roll call?
Ms. Acey?
No.
Ms. Duarte McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. McNally?
Yes.
Mayor Fields?
Yes.
Motion carried.
1F, correct? Ordinance 2574. Christie, please.
An ordinance of the Township of Bernards, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, authorizing the vacation of Great Swamp Road, and this is introduction.
You want me to explain this, because
Yes,
this is
I think
somewhat
so.
unusual, Mayor?
Sorry.
Sure.
There's a paper road. What's a paper road? It's on the tax map. It's never been built. This goes through the Ridge Oak property where the first ordinance is proposed. So this is an ordinance to vacate that. One of the things we did with Ridge Oak is we kind of took the bull by the horns. We wanted to make sure that whatever was built there, if this ordinance is adopted, the first Ridge Oak ordinance, is going to protect the neighbors. So we had our planning professionals, particularly David Schley, come up with an ordinance and setbacks and landscaping and a concept plan attached so that if they do come in and build this, it will have the least impact on neighbors. And in order to have the least impact on neighbors, vacating this paper road, which nobody is ever going to use, it goes through this lot, will give us a little bit more play in terms of buffering and setbacks and everything. So that's what this is, Mayor.
Thank you. Do I have a
Mayor, I
motion?
move that ordinance 2573 be introduced on first reading, referred to the planning board, and advertised as required by law, and scheduled for a public hearing on 4/15/2025.
That was ordinance 2574.
Oh.
Did you say 3? I think you said 3.
I did say 3.
Okay, so
Do I have to
4.
say that again? I'll do it. I move that ordinance 2574 be introduced on first reading, advertised as required by law, and scheduled for a public hearing on 4/15/25.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Acey?
Yes.
Ms. Duarte McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. McNally?
Yes.
Mayor Fields?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Ordinance 2575. Christie?
An ordinance of the Township of Bernards, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, amending, revising, and supplementing the Code of the Township of Bernards, Chapter 21, Land Development, to replace the West Gate Village Mixed-Use Senior Overlay Zone within the E3 zone with the Westgate Village Mixed-Use Zone, and this is introduction.
Mayor, I move that ordinance 2575 be introduced on first reading, referred to the planning board, and advertised as required by law, and scheduled for a public hearing on 4/15/25.
Second.
Discussion? I think we've discussed this enough. Roll call, please.
Ms. Acey?
No.
Ms. Duarte McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. McNally?
Yes.
Mayor Fields?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Approval of minutes, February 25th, 2025, open session minutes.
I move the minute.
Second.
I'm going to abstain, I wasn't here. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Executive session?
None this evening, Mayor.
May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night, everyone.